8:37 on WMAL. Mornings on the Mall. Brian Wilson along Larry O'Connor. Why do I want to keep saying I'm Brian Wilson?
I don't know.
Well,
maybe secretly you want to be me.
Larry O'Connor alongside Brian Wilson. And we've noticed a phenomenon here. So we've had a string of deaths. Glenn Frey 2 days ago. We had David Bowie last week. We had Natalie Cole last week. We had Alan Rickman last week. All of these icons of popular culture, music, acting world, and they're all dying in their 60s. And we've noticed that some people, no matter where you are generationally, no matter how these people touched you in one way or the other through their art, you've been affected by it. Some people actually legitimately emotionally affected by it, feeling real grief for someone that they've never actually met. Well, joining us now is David Kessler, an expert on grief management. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Glad to be with you today.
So is this real grief, or is it more people sort of feeling sad for themselves because they're seeing, members of their own youth dying off, so they're scared that they're getting old and dying off?
It's a little bit of all of it. It is real grief because we feel connected to these people. David's music or Glenn's or Celine, whoever it may be. We connect with celebrities over the years. Their music becomes our sad soundtrack. So it does become a real connection that is grieved. The other piece is it's very easy to love a celebrity that you don't know. They didn't not show up for dinner. It's easier sometimes to love them than your cousin. So it becomes this idealized love that we feel for them, and then it becomes a real loss.
Yeah, if it's somebody like for me, more than the David Bowie thing, it was Glenn Frey that I think impacted me. I actually put on my Facebook page yesterday that I was saddened by it, and I really was. And I think for me it comes down to two levels. Tell me if this works into it. Number one, I'm saddened that a guy who I admired is no longer with us, and he died at a very young age. Seemed like before his time. Maybe that reminds me of my own mortality. But the other thing about it was I'm saddened by the fact that the creative force that I so admired will no longer be there to continue to be a creative force.
Both of those are very true and makes it real grief.
So tell me, listen, when someone in your family dies, when your loved one dies, and you're going through grief, you've got people around you to help you. You've got a support system. What do you suggest? I've noticed people really reaching out on Facebook saying this has affected me in ways that I wasn't expecting. What should people do?
Well, I'll tell you, that's one of the great things about Facebook. It's become our new town hall that if your coworker thinks you're nuts because, you never knew the person, you can go to Facebook and, talk to people who feel the way you do. So that's one of the things. And to know it is a form of real grief. Of course, just like you said, it's different than your loved one, but to just honor that grief and know it's real. I set up a whole video about, people's feelings around grief. Your listeners can find it at aboutgrief.com or go to grief.com because people are genuinely affected by this. Hotel California is just part of my life.
Now I've seen you on Oprah in the past. I'll admit, Oprah had a good show back there in the day, and you're with you do the whole anger, depression. What are the
right.
five
stages?
Five stages: denial, anger, depression,
bargaining, and acceptance.
Right.
Yeah. Is it at that level that people have to sort of go through that route on something like this when it's just somebody famous?
I think we go through some of the first parts. I think we go through denial. I can't believe Glenn or David Bowie. You go through the denial. You might be angry that, you were hoping to go to something of theirs and you never got around to it. Listen, I can tell you when I was young as a teenager, all my friends were going to go to this Elvis concert, and I'm like, I can see Elvis anytime. So, you begin to regret the things you didn't do. Or you're like, God, let me go get this guy's music and put it on. Mm-hmm. So we do have a little bit of the stages, not a lot.
What other aspect of this that I think might be playing in, and you tell me if I'm right on this, is the fact that we weren't expecting it. You know what? We didn't know that David Bowie was dying of cancer. We knew Glenn Frey was sick, but we didn't realize it was this bad. And no one knew about Alan Rickman. These are people in their 60s, and we've grown accustomed to people living into their 80s at this point or beyond. We weren't prepared. Is that another reason why you sort of get caught off guard with this?
Absolutely. Because our mind says, we're supposed to know when it happens. We're supposed to watch them go to their 80s and 90s. Death isn't supposed to catch us in a surprise like this. And of course, for some people, it does shake them. Holy cow, if he could, die in his 60s, could I? Wow, I haven't been to the doctor in a while. It may bring up some stuff because it does scare us about our own mortality a bit.
When these things happen, I mean, when a major person dies and we bring notice to it, you always hear, well, who else is going to, because this always happens in threes.
Yeah,
we always hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, is that true? And why is it that we feel that is the case?
Yeah, the whole three phenomenon isn't true, but what happens is our mind likes to organize things. Our mind likes to see patterns. Oh, we had three people. Wow, good, we're done for now. But, it always depends, just like you say. It's when you start counting. Is it Alan and David and Natalie, or is it Glenn? So you kind of see the threes don't work out because we have actually too many.
Makes sense. David Kessler, thank you so much for joining us. Again, you can find him. He's got his own show, Hay House Radio there. You look for it online.
Thanks,
Thank
David.
You, sir.
Good stuff.